If I could just learn how to close, I would be making so much money. I cannot tell you how many times I have heard that from agencies that I've partnered with, consulted with, and worked with. Now, because of that, what I'm gonna do for you guys in this video is I'm gonna condense the last 6 years of sales experience and thousands of sales calls that I have sat through on Zoom, just like we all do on a day-to-day basis, into a 30-minute breakdown of a new agency owner's sales call. So we're gonna pull up their sales call, the live recording of it. We're gonna watch it together. I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna share my insights and my advice as to what I would have done to give you the highest chance of closing your sales call. Okay, stop it right there. Before we even started this sales call, we started it off well on the wrong foot, okay? This setup, this background does not look professional. And when you are communicating with someone, it has been scientifically proven that only 7% of the person's decision as to whether they like you or not comes from the words that you say. That means the remaining 93% is made up out of your tonality, made up out of your body language and non-verbal cues. Now, what I would do if I was in this position and I had to have a background, ideally you don't. Ideally, you find a nicer place in your house, or if you're working out of your room, you reposition your room to get a real background behind you that looks a little bit professional. Maybe put some photos, some trophies, some awards. If you can subtle flex the kind of person that you are with your background, that is a great place to start. But let's say you can't do that. At least make the background a little bit more professional. Don't just slap a logo on there. Maybe give it an office background with a banner in the back. I've seen good looking backgrounds before. Do a quick little Google search to find something well. Now, that's step one. Step two is to make yourself look more presentable. So in this case, I'd recommend upgrading to a higher quality ring light so you can properly illuminate your face just like I am right now. Obviously, yes, I have an expensive like $2,000 light right here. You don't need to go all the way that. You can find a $30, $40, $50 light on Amazon will do the trick. In addition to that, upgrading your webcam to give yourself a little bit more of an HD appearance will dramatically increase the subconscious opinion that your prospect has on you and will make the entire sales process go easier. I can't stress the importance enough of looking presentable, looking like somebody wants to do business with you before you even begin that sales call. Editor, I want you to do something for me right now. I want you to compare a screenshot of how I look right now versus a screenshot of this sales call right now. And doesn't matter what the offer, doesn't matter what we say, I want you watching this video to ask yourself, who would you rather do business with? The answer is cut and clear, and that is why it is so important to invest a little bit of time, money, and energy into setting yourself up with a proper setup before you begin to take your sales calls. That being said, we're gonna pretend that for the rest of this video, we have a good setup, and I'm gonna go through the rest of this video and we'll continue analyzing and breaking down this sales call.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey man, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Am I not showing video? Hold on.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I just can't see you.
Now would be an excellent time to show some charisma. I don't know too much about this prospect. I don't know too much about the past calls that they've been on, but I can sure as hell tell you that if it was me in this position, I'd say something like, oh, don't worry, I'll give you a sec as you finish putting your makeup on, and then we can jump into things. Just to break the ice a little bit, have some charisma, show a little bit of personality, and get this prospect in a bit of a better mood than they were when they jumped on the call. That's gonna help you out a lot as you begin your sales call.
Here we go.
Oh, there you are. Yo, what's up, man?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So, where are you based out of?
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City. Okay, cool, man. I'm in the Philadelphia area, but I'm actually over in Europe right now.
So I have a bit of a controversial opinion on this, but I don't have a problem saying controversial shit. I fucking hate the social script. The social script is, hey man, how you doing? Where you're from? Blah, 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 blah. The problem with it, every prospect that you speak with and every girl that you meet hears the same script, hears the same questions every single time. And when they hear the same script, they hear the same process, they hear the same questions, immediately in their brain go, oh boy, this guy is just like the last one, which if they're jumping on a call with you, there's a good sign that the last person that they worked with didn't turn out too well. So by all means, what I would have done if I was on this scenario is I wouldn't have asked them, where are you from? Like, how you doing? Like all that basic, boring stuff. I would have first done a little bit of research into their company and then asked them a question right off the bat an icebreaker question that shows that I've actually taken the time to do research into their business and hit them with a question that they've probably never been asked before. But that being said, let's roll with it.
Yeah, awesome, man. So blocked out this time for us. So you know, I'll ask you a few questions and you can ask me a few questions as well and see if this program might be a good fit for you. Sound fair?
Sales pressure way up. This guy knows, this guy has no trust. This guy's like, oh boy, I've been through this process over and over and over again. This is just another guy. I don't know if this closes or not. If I had to guess, it probably doesn't. And everything that we say from this point on is going to be an uphill battle in order to make up for all the rapport and all the subconscious trust that we've lost in the beginning of this call.
Yep.
Okay. Cool, man. So from what made you interested in signing up for this call? Like what caught your eye?
Incoming phone call.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. So what so leads essentially.
Huge lever to pull. And I know this is hard to say. All right, so this next bit of advice that I would give here, and it's an easy piece of advice to give. It's a hard piece of advice to execute. So I'm first going to give it and then share some tips on how to actually execute this advice, or at least maybe reframe your mind if you're struggling with the same problem that I'm about to reveal right now. The biggest problem that I see here is AJ on the right-hand side of my screen here doesn't have confidence. He's not enjoying myself. He doesn't want to be here. The prospect doesn't want to be here. And as a result, this sales call is destined for failure. Now, as I've said before, the biggest two levers that you can pull in sales is presentation and charisma. Now, how do we get confidence? How do we get charisma if we don't have confidence? We haven't closed hundreds of people. We don't actually know the kind of results that we can deliver for clients. It's a very hard place to have confidence from. However, the only way to get confidence in a sales environment is to fake it before you make it. See, I, just like you, didn't have the confidence to sell high ticket until one day I sat on a Zoom call with courage and looked a prospect dead in the eye with fake confidence and said, yep, that'll be $5,000. I didn't have the confidence to go and complete physical events such as my 100-kilometer ultra marathon I did a couple years ago until one day I laced up my running shoes with courage. And one of the biggest misbeliefs that people have with confidence, or confident people versus unconfident people, is confident people are just confident. That is completely false and couldn't be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, every single confident person that you see today, at one point in their life, they were afraid to do the things that now they do with flying colors and confidence, except they tried it once with courage. They stepped up to the plate with courage. They stepped up to the plate and acted as if they knew what they were doing, even if they didn't. They got lucky. They somehow made it happen. And as a result, that gave their brain the data that they can do this, which in return gave them the confidence. The same way that you now confidently walk down the stairs, you have to remember that at one point when you were 1, 2, 3 years old, you had to walk down those stairs with courage. Just like your first time getting to the gym, or just like your first time closing high ticket sales calls over Zoom, you have to start with courage before the confidence. And the best piece of advice that I could give to AJ here is to just brute force fake confidence into your brain until you begin to close people. That being said, we're going to continue this call.
What are your main goals as far as like leads?
More loans closed. I'm a lender, loan officer. I've been in business for 3 years. So I'm just looking for additional lead sources to be able to get people queued up. I can run my own ads, but I just haven't gotten into it. And so it's like, if you guys have already been doing split testing and optimized all that kind of stuff, like that is time and money intensive. And so if I can have somebody else be that partner for me, then I don't have to do it, and I can just handle the qualification and getting people through their process.
Right. That totally makes sense. So as far as what have you been doing so far to generate leads?
I just have realtor partners that give me their business.
Okay. Like real estate investors, or
no, just realtors. That say, hey, these are my clients, qualify them, let's go get a deal. And so we close our deals that way.
Gotcha. So that makes sense. Yeah. So one question I like to ask is, like, as far as as far as advertising, like what would be a sufficient goal for you? Like, say like you spend like a certain amount on advertising per month. Like what would have to happen for you to be happy with your progress, like on advertising, essentially?
Another little dirty little trick here that I've pulled off, and I've seen a lot of people that I've consulted for, worked with, and partnered off, pulled off as well, is to kind of bridge the gap between courage and confidence if you're going into these sales environments and you aren't a rock star closer, you know that you're gonna be a little bit shaky. You're gonna say some dumb things on the sales call that probably won't be in your best favor. One of the things that I would like to say is like, hey man, I actually don't do a lot of these calls, and the reason why is I'm actually the back end guy. So I'm actually kind of the geek behind the scenes. So bear with me a little bit, and I'm looking forward to learn a little bit more about your business. By saying that, you reduce the sales pressure, and you also buy yourself a little bit of grace because you've told them that you're like just the back end guy, which can help bridge that gap if you're struggling with the confidence to be the rockstar closer that you're gonna eventually become once you've taken 50 to 100 sales calls.
Your ad spend, like not per month, sorry, per day, $30 per day, and that usually generates around three closed deals per month. But some of our customers see well more than that, anywhere from 5 to 10 deals per month.
Is there, and I'm assuming you can do geo restriction if I can only close loans in California or Utah.
Yeah, of course. So are you only licensed to close deals in those states?
Yep.
Just California and Utah. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we definitely can target certain areas as far as the way we do interest-based targeting. So we look at people who are going to move into your area as well, not only just people in your state, So people who are looking to move to California and Utah.
Yep.
But yeah, so my next question, so what have you tried so far?
Don't ever say my next question. It just sounds like you're interrogating them, and they just don't really want to tell you the truth. They're going to give you surface level answers unless they already really trust you, which they probably don't, because you probably cold called them or sent them a DM or sent them a cold email, or they just saw one of your ads to get them on that sales call before. Instead, the goal with this is to keep it one natural, long flowing conversation. And if you're struggling with that, doing some role play with friends or people that you don't have to stress out about, and you can just be yourself and make mistakes with on the call, is to practice having these sales calls in one fluid flowing conversation.
So what would you say, I know it's like a bit personal question, but what would your goal be for this year as far as where you want to take your business?
If I could, so right now I close 1 to 2 loans a month. Adding a third more to that, like one more loan a month would be a win for me.
Okay. Gotcha.
So all I have to say is every process needs refinement, and there's always an upfront cost, and you have to let it play through for a while to kind of get to tweak things to make sure that they're working, and then make adjustments from there. So I would, I'd be up for you're saying $30 ad spend a day. That's like $360-ish a month, right?
Yeah.
So I would do at least 2 or 3 months of giving that a shot to see that would, to see if there's
$30 per day is $900 a month, but I'm going to let that slide.
Any refinements to kind of see what lead flow is and all that kind of stuff, and then kind of decide from there. I understand that it takes a little bit to for things to play out, and also to kind of see what's going on. You need the data to come through so you can make adjustments from there and that kind of thing. So
right.
And so if I couldn't close, if we couldn't get say 5 qualified leads out of that, and I couldn't close at least one of them, then it probably would be indication that that's probably not a good fit, and there would need to be refinement on our end, or maybe we would just continue to look for more clients, and I'd find keep looking for another source that works better for me.
Yeah.
Does that sound like it would make sense?
Completely.
I mean, does that seem like a fair assessment of what would be amount of time that would be needed to kind of make sure that it was working the way that it should be?
As far as our process, we already have a proven process, so we pretty much are certain that our process is going to work as far as getting you leads. It's just a matter.
So as long as the ad spend is there, it should.
Yeah.
You have expected results, and so it would just be a question of making sure people from the quantities of X, Y, Z, Geo match up, and then we're we're at the races.
Exactly. So what one thing I'd like to ask as well is so what you mentioned your goal is to get an additional 1 to 2 more deals per month, essentially. But so what have you been doing to reach that goal besides prior to speaking to me?
I'm going to dive past the discovery phase. I'm going to dive into the pitch so we can see how well AJ presented his custom solution to his prospect here in a manner that was tailored to his ideal scenario.
We got minimum credit score, minimum household income. We could qualify them with whatever kind of questions you work with, or depending on, I don't know what kind of loans you do. Do you do all loans across the board?
Yep.
Okay, you do it all, hard money loans, private money loans, everything.
I can. That's not my forte. Honestly, those are situations that are pretty dire for most people, and nobody who's in a good situation that's going to get into most houses are going to be able to qualify on that.
Or you do business loans, or no, none of that?
Nope, this is all just residential. So FHA, conventional, and then non-conforming is where all my bread and butter is. But most of it's conventional or jumbo.
Okay, cool. So yes, like I said, we have tested ads, and then we also have we have a landing page where we have a website where we'd have your domain set up, where we'd have a calendar link and qualifying questions, as well as an all-in-one CRM and mobile app that's built into the program as well, with automated follow-up sequences as far as following up on hot leads, people who filled out the ad. They'll get automated sequences, follow-ups. Someone who books an appointment, they'll have followed up text message reminders to show up to the call, or show up to the meeting with you if it's in person, as far as that goes. And Yeah. So like even if someone were to usually when they see the ad, the first thing is just name and phone number. That would be like a warm lead, and then someone who actually books the call is actually like a hot lead. Like they actually schedule the call with you, you know. So we have different sequences for both of those different scenarios, essentially. So does that make sense?
Yep.
So yeah, as far as that goes, so these are kind of the.
There's one critical mistake that is being made, and I see people who are just getting into sales make this mistake over and over and over again. The prospect here does not give a shit about the ads, does not care about the custom website and landing page, and last of all, does not care about the all-in-one CRM and mobile app. They care about a few things, such as getting more deals every single month and not having to risk or rely on somebody else or rely on an agency or pay an agency a bunch of money. Those are the things that your clients actually care about. So to properly present this slide deck here, you would only want to hit on one key point. You'd want to talk about, hey, listen, I don't know if you've ever worked with agencies in the past where they, maybe they've worked with you for a bit and then you've left and your money's been, all the money that and time and energy that you spent working with them is now gone. That's not going to happen, because what we're going to do is we're going to give you your own inbound deal flow system. So it's simple. There's a library of 100+ proven ads that we've already spent XYZ amount of money on that you're going to be able to cycle through, and we're going to be able to run for you every single day. So we're not wasting time testing ads and wasting your hard-earned dollars on this, and only focus it on the winners that we're seeing industry-wide. From there, we're going to set you up with your own website and landing page, and from there, they're going to go to your own all-in-one CRM. Now, does that make sense, right? Because another important thing is that a confused buyer will never buy. So if you skip to the next slide before confirming that your prospect actually understands what the heck you just talked about, you're only going to run into objections at the end of the call, because they don't fully understand. They don't know how it'll work for their business. They don't understand how it'll integrate with XYZ software, or if their team will be able to use it, or all of these nuanced things. So confirming that it actually makes sense to them as you're going through the pitch is critical. Now, once you've confirmed, the next question I like to ask is, oh, awesome. Well, do you see this working for your business? And in that case, they're going to give you one of three answers. So you're either going to say yes, and then you can ask them, oh, why is that? And then you'll have them repeat back why they think this is a good thing and why they think it'll work for their business. The most important thing with that is they are going to be telling themselves that your service is going to work for their business. Now, if they say no, then you could say, oh, okay, why is that? Right? And then they'll say, oh, well, it's this or it's that. And one thing that you'll see when you begin to use this process is that people will be much more open with their objections before you've dropped the price. When you're earlier in the sales process, they'll be much more open to not give you smoke screens, but give you the real root objection, because there's much less pressure at this part of the sales process. And the third option is when they maybe say yes, but they say it with some hesitancy. And in that case, you want to use this dirty little line that works like magic, which is, I sense some hesitancy there. And then you just shut up. What they will do is they will begin to elaborate. Yeah, well, it makes sense, but I'm not sure about X. And then whatever they are not sure about it, you clarify it on the spot before moving on to the next section. It is super important to overcome the objections in this part of the sales process, because if you try and overcome the objections at the end of the sales call, you're going to be much more likely to just get hit with a bunch of different BS objections, and it's going to be much harder to overcome them, because they know that right now you're just trying to close them, where they think at this part of the sales call, you're just trying to give them the information that they need.
All of the service, or is that like a la carte and those are individual modules to be
Yeah, that's
used or paid for?
all combined in the whole service.
All right, so I skipped through the rest of the presentation because the advice I just shared holds evergreen for every additional slide that they went through. And if I had to guess, that didn't happen. Now, let's look at how AJ here presents his case studies.
If you're only interested in like one part of the service, we could essentially talk about if that's only one part of the service that interests you. If you just wanted ads and ad management, weren't interested in all the other parts, then we could talk about that. But this is
right there. If he's asking if he just does one thing, that's a telltale sign that we spent way too much talking about the different features that they get and not enough about the dream outcome. Ideally, when your client signs up with you, they shouldn't even fully understand the individual features that they get, because they're so sold and they're so focused on the dream outcome. And if that's not happening, it's going to be much harder to close these deals.
Everything included in the service I'm not telling you about. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, so this is Justin. He was actually our first customer for lending, and he actually had 0 clients when
putting Justin's name where it says name would be a little tip.
He just started his business. He didn't really have much of an idea where he was going, but he actually signed 3 deals in the very first month and went from 0 to 18K in 2 months time. So he's looking to double his numbers this month. So yeah, he did very well with that program. This is Stephanie. So Stephanie, she's booked 50 plus sales calls per month and it's closing at 35%. She went from making 10K in deals. Now she's making 25K on average. And this was around 90 days after working with us. Yeah, this is the guy I was talking about, the TikTok guy. He actually was, his account was banned on Facebook. So we had no choice but to market on
some over to TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah. But he spent $1,097. This is actually a very recent guy, but see it says March 19th there.
So 1,000 was the ad spend for the month.
That was about maybe maybe around 2 months, but he got 262 conversions, which is, leads. People filled out that within like around 2 months, maybe a little less than 2 months, but yeah, he's closed around 20K in monthly revenue recurring clients. So yeah, his ad campaign actually performed very well on TikTok. That's why I mentioned TikTok works as well. But
not sure the validity of these case studies, but this testimonial right here doesn't look legit. Skeptical at first, but this system is the real deal. Just kind of sounds like a fake case study. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but if it is, first of all, I wouldn't do that for obvious reasons. And if it isn't, I would find another text message conversation, another thread, another piece of positive feedback that your client gave, and put that there.
But we only did that because he was banned. His account was banned on Facebook. But yeah.
So if TikTok performs, how come you haven't gone into that direction more? It seems like it's a hotter market for sure. That seems, from what I've seen at least, the algorithm seems better and people seem to be engaged at a higher level.
Yeah, TikTok also gives higher incentives to perform on there to spend your money on there because Facebook kind of dominates. So they'll give you like ad credits and stuff if you spend enough money with them. So I think they ended up matching him 1,000 the following month on TikTok as well. So I mean, it's kind of just based on of what direction you want to go. We've been using Facebook primarily, and this was the first time we used TikTok. So I mean, maybe it's definitely a direction that we can go in.
When you go to the doctor and your doctor does a diagnosis of your symptoms and the problems that you're having, just like you are diagnosing the symptoms and the problems that your prospect is having, and your doctor goes into the other room and he comes back, does your doctor go to you and say, okay, do you want this medicine or that medicine? You decide. I don't know, man, like whatever direction you want to go. No, that would be ridiculous. Instead, the doctor says, no, listen, this is the problem. This is what I see based on what you've told me. This is the solution that you need. And your doctor says it with confidence and you trust your doctor because of that, right? If we're going to our prospects and saying, so we could, you could go this direction or you could go that direction, it just sounds like you don't know what you're talking about. And the level of trust that your prospect has in you is going to diminish.
Go in the future for sure. I mean, if you're interested in doing that as well.
Okay.
But yeah, so we guarantee 10 loans applications in 90 days and recommend. But
another quick tidbit when you're going through case studies, and this is actually from the 48 Laws of Power. This is a very powerful language technique that you can use to increase the credibility of your case studies. Is two things. Number one is using damaging admissions. So when you're going through your case studies, sharing one flaw, maybe one little screw up that you had with your client, but we did X, Y, and Z. So listen, when we first started working with them, we actually screwed up on this, but once we made this change, we got XYZ result. When you share a negative statement, but a positive statement, it increases the credibility of the positive statement. And the second thing is to not spend too much time on the case study. If you spend so much time going through each case study, talking about it over and over and over again, it begins to come across as suspicious. See, the more you talk about your accomplishments, the less real that they seem. And I actually remember a time when I was on a sales call and I was meeting with two separate guys. They were two business partners, and one guy was talking about all the things that he did and how great he was, and I was like, I don't know if this guy's kind of telling the truth. The other guy was like, hey, yeah, so last year we did XYZ, and like that was it. And immediately between the two guys, I was kind of sketched out with this guy, but I was like, damn, this guy's the real deal. And I almost tried to like not work with this guy and basically like only work with this guy, but they were business partners, so that didn't work out. But that's a real life example of what happens to yourself when you constantly talk about how good you are in comparison to when you subtle flex the accomplishments that you've done.
So we guarantee 10 loans applications in 90 days and recommend ad spend $30 a day. And yeah, the product is $4,655. So do you want it?
Best way to present the price is, so Mr. Prospect, in order to install the system that will insert your dream outcome, it's just a one-time investment of price, and then shut up. The worst thing that you can do is stumble through this presentation and then ask, so is that what you wanted?
And that's an upfront cost, or how does that go?
Yeah, that's just a one-time payment of that amount, and that includes everything in the service that I mentioned: the CRM, the automations, and the ad spend, and the ads, and the websites, you know, the landing pages.
landing pages.
Alrighty, fellas. Well, that's it. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you got 10x the value in return. And if you did, the only ask that I'm going to make for you is to leave a comment below on the #1 thing that you're struggling with in sales, and I will personally reply to give you my detailed response. Other than that, I wish you all the best with your business, and I hope to see you watching the next video.